She has been gone for months, but her shadow still lingers in your mind. No matter how much time passes, it feels like she's still with you. At 2 a.m., you find yourself checking her social media, searching for clues about her life. You want to know what she's doing, yet at the same time, you're scared of what you might discover. Maybe she's happy without you. Maybe she has moved on. Each time you look, your chest feels heavier, because every post reminds you of what you lost. You replay old conversations in your head, especially the ones that ended badly. You imagine alternate versions of those moments, where you said the perfect thing, where she stayed instead of leaving, where the story ended differently. Deep down, you tell yourself you're over her, but every time her name comes up, your body reacts. Your chest tightens. Your mind spins. The truth is, you're still carrying her with you everywhere. You try dating again. You swipe through apps. You meet new people, but every face you see gets compared to hers. No one feels enough. No one matches the memory of her. You go to the places you used to visit together, and instead of enjoying the moment, you torture yourself with memories. The past feels stronger than your present reality. Today, I want to show you something important. Why you can't let go, and more importantly, how to break free. Because the truth will change everything you think you know about love, attachment, and the invisible chains that keep you stuck with people who don't deserve your energy. Here's the first truth. You're not actually missing her. You're missing the version of her that never truly existed. You're grieving a relationship that was more in your imagination than in reality. You built a fantasy around her, a dream version of who you thought she was. And when she left, you didn't just lose a person. You lost that dream. This is the cruel trick of the human mind. We don't fall in love only with the person in front of us. We fall in love with who we want them to be. We see their potential and mistake it for their reality. We notice small acts of kindness and convince ourselves that this must be their true nature, while ignoring all the signs that point to something else. So when she walked away, your pain wasn't just about losing her. It was about losing the story you had been telling yourself about her. The version of her who cared more than she actually did. The version of her who could have stayed. The version of her who never really existed outside your imagination. This is why letting go feels impossible. Because you're not only grieving the past, you're grieving the future you thought you would have with her. You're mourning the connection you believed was real. The love story you wrote in your head while she was writing a completely different one. The woman who hurt you was real, but the woman you still can't forget. That was your creation. She was the product of your desperate hope, your unmet needs, and your willingness to accept so little and call it love. You're not heartbroken over her. You're heartbroken over the illusion you built around her. And here's where it gets even deeper. Inside your unconscious mind live all the qualities you wish you could express, but don't. The woman you loved wasn't an accident. She carried qualities that your unconscious recognized as missing within yourself. If she was wild, bold, and unpredictable, it's because part of you secretly craves that same freedom. If she was confident and demanding, it's because part of you longs to stop being the nice guy who never speaks up. But you didn't fall in love with her qualities. You fell in love with the fantasy that being with her would give you permission to access those qualities inside yourself. She became like a drug, the gateway to the man you always wanted to be, but were too afraid to become. That's why you feel so addicted to her memory. Because losing her doesn't just feel like losing a person. It feels like losing the chance to finally become the version of yourself you've always dreamed of. But here is the truth you need to accept. She was never your missing piece. She was just a mirror. The freedom, the confidence, the energy you admired in her. They were always inside you. You had simply buried them beneath layers of fear, doubt, and social conditioning. Most men make a tragic mistake. They confuse emotional dependency with love. Real love makes you stronger, while still letting you keep your identity. Dependency, however, does the opposite. It consumes your identity. It makes you rely on another person for your sense of worth, your mood, your confidence. When you're emotionally dependent, her texts decide whether you feel happy or worthless. Her attention determines your self-esteem. Your future feels uncertain without her validation. You hand over the keys to your emotional state to someone who never truly respected the responsibility. You hand over the keys to your emotional state to someone who never truly respected the responsibility. And once you do that, you find yourself trapped in an invisible prison, a prison where she is the god, even when she's no longer around. That's why breaking free feels so impossible. You've tied your sense of self to her behavior. You've forgotten who you were before her. The idea of rediscovering that man feels scarier than staying trapped. But here's what you must understand. You are not trapped because of love. You are trapped because of dependency. And dependency is not love. This is only the beginning of the truth. In the next part, we will go deeper into why you keep repeating these toxic patterns, why the chaos feels so familiar, and why breaking free is not just about forgetting her, but about remembering yourself. You already know that your feelings for her are not only about love, they are about dependency. And this is the trap most men fall into without realizing it. Dependency means your entire emotional state is tied to someone else's actions. If she texts you, your mood rises. If she ignores you, you feel crushed. If she gives you attention, you feel alive. If she pulls away, you feel worthless. Without even knowing it, you hand over the control of your emotions to someone who doesn't handle it with care. This kind of dependency doesn't just appear overnight. It grows slowly, like a web around you. At first, it feels like excitement. You tell yourself, this is love. But over time, that excitement becomes anxiety. You are no longer living your own life. You are living in reaction to hers. You keep checking your phone. You wait for her to notice you. You adjust yourself to fit what you think she wants. And you call this sacrifice love. But it's not love. It's addiction. Your brain actually becomes hooked on this unhealthy cycle. The mix of pain and pleasure, the push and pull of her attention, creates a chemical reaction inside you. Your nervous system gets trained to expect the anxiety, the little highs, the little lows. It becomes as addictive as drugs or alcohol. And just like with addiction, even when you know it's bad for you, you keep going back. Think about your history. Look honestly at your past relationships. Do you notice a pattern? Different faces, different names, but the same story. You keep attracting the same kind of woman, the one who leaves you uncertain, who makes you question your worth, who gives just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to give you peace. This is not an accident. This is your unconscious mind repeating what it knows. It's trying to resolve old wounds by recreating them. Your psyche is saying, if I can just get it right this time, the pain will finally be healed. But the problem is, you're using the same old mindset, the same old patterns, and the result is always the same. The truth is, the woman who hurt you is not the first person to make you feel this way. She is just the most recent. These feelings go back much further, back to your earliest experiences of love, validation, and attention. Maybe it started in childhood, maybe in your first serious relationship, maybe in the way you learned to connect with people who claimed to care about you, but made love feel conditional. unpredictable, or unsafe. When she came into your life, she activated those same old wounds. The same pathways in your brain lit up. The same emotions returned. That's why the connection felt so powerful, so intense. Because it wasn't just about her. It was about your history. It was about the unresolved story you've been carrying for years. This is also why chaos feels so strangely comfortable to you. Her unpredictability felt like home, because chaos was the first kind of love you ever knew. When love equals uncertainty, when attention equals anxiety, your nervous system begins to believe this is normal. So when you meet someone stable, kind, and consistent, it feels almost boring. But when you meet someone chaotic, inconsistent, and confusing, it feels alive. That's the trap. Until you break this cycle, you'll keep finding yourself in the same emotional prison. Different women, different details, but the same suffering. You'll keep wondering, why does love always feel like a battlefield? The reason is because you're not fighting her. You're fighting your own patterns. The anxiety you feel when you think about her is not random. It's your psyche's alarm system. It's trying to tell you something, that you are disconnected from your true self. The more disconnected you are, the more strongly you will cling to toxic people. When you live in alignment with your real self, toxic people feel uncomfortable to be around. Their energy feels off, wrong, unnatural. But when you are disconnected, when you're trying to be who others want you to be instead of who you really are, toxic people feel familiar. Their chaos matches your inner chaos. Their unpredictability mirrors your self-abandonment. This is why you keep asking yourself, why can't I let go? Because it's not about her. It's about the part of yourself you've been avoiding. The drama, the obsession, the endless thinking about her. It all distracts you from facing your own emptiness, your own fears, your own loneliness. And here's the hardest truth. Your attachment to her is not just about romance. It's about a spiritual crisis. You've lost touch with who you really are. You've built different masks to survive in the world. You've played roles to win approval. You've shaped yourself into what others wanted you to be. And somewhere in that process, you abandoned your real self. She became your drug of choice, your way to avoid looking in the mirror. As long as you were chasing her, you didn't have to face the truth of your own disconnection. That's why it feels like losing her is killing you. Because without her, you have no distraction left. You are forced to sit with yourself. But here is the beginning of freedom. The way forward is not about forgetting her. The way forward is about remembering yourself, not the version you thought she wanted, not the persona you built to attract her, but the man you were before you betrayed yourself for love. Every person who hurts us is like an archaeologist. They dig into our psyche and expose hidden layers. She didn't just reveal her character, she revealed yours. Her treatment of you showed you your lack of boundaries, your habit of shrinking yourself, your willingness to accept less than you deserve. And this is where the healing starts, because the pain is not just pain, it is information. Every tear is a message. Every sleepless night is data. Every moment of missing her is a sign pointing you back to yourself. This isn't the end. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how pain becomes your teacher, how every wound holds wisdom, and how the process of letting go is not about erasing her. It's about rebuilding yourself. By now, you see the truth. Your attachment isn't really about her. It's about the parts of yourself you abandoned. That's why her leaving feels like a death. But hidden inside this pain is your chance to finally rebuild yourself. The woman who hurt you was also your teacher. Every boundary she crossed revealed a boundary you never learned to set. Every promise she broke showed you how often you break promises to yourself. Every time she made you feel small, she reminded you how often you shrink your own voice just to be accepted. This pain is not pointless. It is data. It is feedback about what needs to change. The intensity of your attachment shows the intensity of your self-abandonment. The harder it feels to let go, the more clearly it shows how tightly you've been holding on to relationships that require you to sacrifice your real self. The truth is simple but hard to face. Every trigger is a teacher. Every wound is a doorway into healing. Every moment you miss her is really a moment where you are being invited to miss yourself less. Healing doesn't mean erasing your feelings. It means reclaiming the qualities she represented and living them through yourself. If her freedom attracted you, it's because you have denied yourself freedom. If her confidence pulled you in, it's because you've buried your own confidence under layers of people-pleasing. She wasn't your missing half. She was your mirror. This is why real recovery means integration. You don't need to find those qualities in someone else. You need to awaken them inside you. That's how you stop repeating the same painful cycles. Of course, this is not easy. At first, being your authentic self feels dangerous. You've built your life around being agreeable, safe, and approved by others. If you start setting boundaries, some people will leave. If you stop shrinking, some relationships will end. But that's not a loss. It's a filter. The wrong people fall away so the right ones can stay. What replaces those fake connections is priceless. Relationships built on truth, respect, and mutual energy. Love that doesn't require you to abandon yourself. A life where you expand instead of shrink. But this requires action. You cannot heal while still feeding the addiction. That means deleting her number, unfollowing her online, avoiding places where you're likely to run into her. This isn't cowardice. It's giving your nervous system space to recover from the chemical storm of dependency. Use that space wisely. Journal to hear your own thoughts again. Exercise to reconnect with your body. Practice joy without needing her to witness it. Learn to sit with sadness without waiting for her to notice. Build a life where your emotions belong to you again. Because love is not supposed to feel like chains. Real love makes you stronger. Real love lets you breathe. Real love feels like expansion, not suffocation. And the first person you must learn to love in this way is yourself. This is the turning point. The pain that once crushed you can now guide you. The woman who hurt you is no longer your enemy. She is the mirror who showed you what still needs healing. Now the question is, will you use this pain to remain trapped? Or will you use it as fuel to finally become the man you were meant to be? This is where the story changes. Until now, your energy was consumed by chasing her, replaying memories, and drowning in the what-ifs. But freedom begins when you decide, I will no longer live as a prisoner of someone else's choices. I will live as the author of my own life. The pain you've carried is proof of how deeply you can feel. That depth is not a weakness, it is your strength. But only when you turn it inward. The same intensity you gave to her must now be given to yourself, your purpose, your growth. Think of it this way. You gave her your world, and she shattered it. But in the ruins, you now have a chance to build something stronger. A life not based on dependency, but on truth. A self not built for approval, but for authenticity. This is the essence of transformation. You stop begging for love and start becoming love. You stop waiting for validation and start living in alignment with your values. You stop chasing people who confuse you and start attracting people who respect your boundaries. Yes, letting go hurts, but holding on hurts more. The longer you cling, the longer you delay your own rebirth. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, you strengthen your inner core. Every time you choose silence over obsession, you reclaim your power. Understand this. Healing is not forgetting her. It is remembering yourself, your laughter, your passions, your mission, your own presence. You are not empty without her. You only feel empty because you've been disconnected from your real self for too long. When you reconnect, something beautiful happens. You stop seeking chaos because peace no longer feels boring. You stop mistaking drama for passion. You begin to trust your own energy. And in that trust, you find freedom. And then love, real love, becomes possible. Not the desperate attachment that suffocates you, but a love rooted in respect, honesty, and growth. A love that expands you instead of shrinking you. A love that is built on truth, not illusion. The woman who hurt you was not the end of your story. She was the catalyst, the fire that burned away your illusions, the mirror that forced you to see your wounds, the lesson that pushed you toward yourself. Now the choice is yours. Remain in the cycle or break free. Keep replaying the past or write a new future. Keep betraying yourself for love or become the man who never abandons himself again. The answer has been waiting inside you all along. You don't need her to complete you. You don't need her to validate you. You don't need her to save you. Because the truth is this: you were never missing a woman. You were missing yourself. And now, it's time to come home.